So let's begin by coming into an easy, comfortable seated position. You can sit with your legs crossed, or if you prefer, you can sit onto the heels, just whichever position allows you to sit comfortably for a few moments. And relaxing the shoulders, actively lengthen through the spine, tucking the chin in slightly so you can feel length created through the back of the neck. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can lightly close the eyes, or if you prefer, just allowing the gaze to drop down towards the floor. And becoming aware of your breath. Just watching the flow of the breath in and out the nose, first of all. And then we'll begin to bring some gentle effort to the breath. Just gently lengthening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. So without any over forcing or pushing, just gently lengthening the in-breath and the out-breath. Drawing the breath deep down into the body. And developing that continuous flow of long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. So throughout the practice, we're looking to maintain this long, slow, steady breath in and out the nose. And remembering that it doesn't matter if you notice that the continuous flow of breath is broken at any point. Just whenever this happens, returning back to this same gentle rhythm, long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. So when you're ready, keeping the flow of breath coming onto hands and knees. Taking the wrists underneath the shoulders, having the fingers spread wide, allowing the knees to come underneath the hips and the tops of the feet resting onto the floor. As the next in-breath begins, leading with the upper back, begin to arch through the spine. At the end of the out-breath, coming into your point of stretch. Then as the following in-breath begins, starting to move the spine in the opposite direction, so the belly drops as a dip in the lower back. You can take the gaze forwards if this feels comfortable on your neck, or keep the gaze down towards the space between the hands. As the next breath begins, allowing the spine to change direction, so again leading with the upper back, beginning to arch through the spine, taking the full length of the breath to arrive into position. So continue to flow with the breath, taking a full in and out breath, coming into each position. So it should feel as though the breath is guiding the movements of the body. Taking the full length of the breath to move into one position, the full length of the next breath to move into the next. Allowing the mind to stay focused with the body and the breath. And again, it doesn't matter at all if you notice that the mind is wandering. That's what the mind will do. It's absolutely fine whenever this happens. So it's not that we're trying to stop or prevent this from happening, but whenever it does, we just take away any importance from the distractions and bring the focus gently back to the body and the breath. So the next time you arch through the spine, take the following breath to bring the spine to a neutral position, and the next breath, sit back towards the heels, take the forehead down to the floor. You can keep the arms outstretched. If you prefer, you can make a pillow with the hands, resting the forehead onto the hands. And then with the following breath, coming to sit up onto the heels, and keeping the breath flowing, slowly coming to stand at the top of your mat. So standing at the top of your mat, feet together, palms together in front of the chest, keeping that continuous flow of breath, long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Actively lengthen through the spine, relax the shoulders. On the next in-breath, gaze goes forwards, raise the hands above the head, and bending the knees, whole of the out-breath, folding forward with knees bent. Following in-breath, hips raise, and out-breath, relaxing the neck. So the hands can be as far down the legs as you need them to be. Legs can be straight or knees bent. Just finding your individual point of stretch here. Next in-breath, knees bend. On the out-breath, hands to the floor. So following breath, smoothly stepping back with the right foot. End of the out-breath, toes landing as lightly as you can. Gazing towards front big toe. And then the following breath, smoothly stepping back into downward dog. So feet hip distance apart. If you feel you need to be more active, you can lift the hips higher, heels drawing down towards the ground. If you feel you need to soften, you can take a bend in the knees or bring the knees to the floor, coming into cat position. So next in-breath, knees smoothly down to the ground, and out-breath, feet flat, leaning back slightly, then whole of the next in-breath, body starts to flow through. Remember, you can slide the hands forwards if you need to, and whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze is the last thing to lift up. Keeping that continuous flow of breath. Remembering to feel free to soften or activate as you need to. And next breath, curling the toes under, either taking one full breath to lift the hips up and back into downward dog, or if you prefer, take 2 breaths, a breath to hands and knees, and the following breath coming into downward dog. So next breath, smoothly stepping up with the right foot. Remember, there is knee down version as well, so just using the variation that you prefer. Adjusting the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. And on the out breath, flatten the back foot slightly angled in. And the following breath, body starts to lift up. End of the out breath, hands raised above the head, palms together, and chest lifting. So the front knee can stay bent, rooting through the outside edge of the back foot, lifting and lengthening through the sides of the body, through the lower back. Then lifting the back heel, transfer the weight into the front foot, stepping up with the back foot, and the whole of the out breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. If you need to, stepping up to the top of the mat, making this part of the flow of the breath. So in breath, step forward with the right foot, out breath, join it with the left, and repeating this as many times as you need to come to the top of your mat. Next in breath, hands float up and gaze forwards. And out breath, knees bend, folding forwards with knees bent for the whole of the out breath. Following in breath, hips lifting, and out breath, relaxing the neck. And next in breath, knees bend, and out breath, hands to the floor. And following breath, left foot lightens, floats out behind, so end of the out breath, toes landing lightly, gaze towards front big toe. Remember, we've got that long lengthened feeling underneath the body, so the back heel is lifted, but it feels as though it's drawing down towards the ground. At the same time, the front knee and the back heel are lengthening away from each other. If you need to soften, you can take the back knee to the floor. And next breath, smoothly stepping back into downward dog. Remember, we're actively letting go of any sense of how far it seems we've come, and instead we're just bringing our focus and awareness to how it feels in the position. If you feel that you need to be more active, you can lift the hips higher, drawing the heels down towards the ground. If you feel you need to soften, then bend the knees or take the knees to the floor, coming into cat position. It's bearing in mind that the point of stretch is where you experience the maximum health benefits. And this is a feeling that we're looking for in each of the positions. Next in breath, knees smoothly down, and out breath, feet flat. Following breath, body starts to flow through, and then hold of the out breath, rooting down through the hands or the forearms, chest lifting directly up from the ground. And curling the toes under, hips lifting smoothly up and back into downward dog, or if you prefer a breath to hands and knees, then the next breath into downward dog. Next breath, smoothly stepping up with the left foot. So remember, there's also knees down version where you move the hands to the side, or if you prefer, you can step straight up from downward dog. Doesn't matter at all where the foot lands. Adjusting the hands back so the fingers are in line with the toes and the back foot back the same distance. Then on the out breath, back foot flattened, slightly angled in. And following breath, body starts to rise up as the in-breath begins. At the end of the out-breath, palms together, arms above the head, chest lifting, gaze lifting. So now it feels as though the front knee and the outside edge of the back foot are lengthening away from each other. And next breath, lift the back heel, stepping up with the back foot. You can take as many steps as you need to. Feet together and out breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. So following breath, arms separate, sweep round behind. You can take the hands into reverse prayer or join the hands onto the forearms. In breath, actively lengthen through the spine, and out breath, knees bend, keeping the knees bent, folding forwards. Following in breath, hips lifting, and out breath, relaxing the neck. Next in breath, hands separate, start to slide down the back of the body. Out breath, hands sliding down the back of the legs, interlace the fingers and turn the palms away. And then hands separate, knees bend, and on the out breath, hands down to the floor. And following breath, smoothly stepping back with the right foot. One full breath here, and then stepping back into downward dog. So neck is totally relaxed, gaze coming towards the legs. In breath, knees down. Out breath, feet flat. And as the next in-breath begins, the body starts to flow through. So body flowing through for the whole of the in-breath, and then the whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the forearms of the hands. Gaze is the last thing to lift. Next breath, chest lifting directly up from the ground. From here, curling the toes under, lifting hips up and back into downward dog. If you prefer, coming to hands and knees first. Then next breath, right leg raises up behind, bottom heel drawing down towards the ground. So the left leg can be straight, or if you prefer, you can bring the left knee to the ground. Remember, the only difference is if the left knee is to the ground, then the right leg is coming directly out behind rather than raising up higher than the hip. And again, we're actively letting go of any sense that one position is somehow better than the other, that further is somehow better and not so far is somehow worse. And instead just allowing our awareness to build so we know how it feels in the position, finding our individual point of stretch, recognizing that this will change from breath to breath, from moment to moment. So next breath, smoothly stepping up with the right foot, adjusting the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. And following breath, stepping up with the back foot, so the feet come together on the out breath, hips start to lower down, so the hips can come as low as they need to, coming into a squat, but keeping the feet flat on the ground, so the heels stay in contact with the floor. You're fine to have the hands by the sides of the feet. If you prefer, you can outstretch the arms, bringing the palms together. Either way, the gaze is turning in towards the body. And bringing your awareness to the chest as the chest moves up and forwards, the hips continue to lower down, hands can come together up through the center. So end of the out breath, hands lifted, gaze lifted, And the hips can be as low as you need to be. So what we're looking for is a sense that the chest is curling up and away from the knees. Remembering the hips can be as high or as low as you need them to be. Next breath, legs straighten, lift the hands and the gaze, and whole of the out breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. If you need to, moving with the breath, coming to stand at the top of the mat. Then next breath, hands separate, arms float round behind, coming into reverse prayer, or if you prefer, holding on to the forearms. In breath, actively lengthen through the spine and soften the knees, whole of the out breath, folding forward with knees bent. In breath, hips lifting, and out breath, relax the neck. Keeping the focus with the breath, building awareness of how it feels in the position. If you feel you need to be more active, you can lift the hips higher, straightening the legs. If you feel you need to soften, take a deeper bend in the knees. And next breath, hands sliding down the back of the body. So end of the out breath, hands down the back of the legs and palms facing outwards. And then hands separate, knees bend, and the out breath, hands to the floor. And following breath, smoothly stepping back with the left foot. One full breath here before taking the next breath to step back into downward dog. And in breath, knees come down to the floor, and out breath, feet flat. The whole of the in breath, body starts to flow through, and whole of the out breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms, coming into your version of upward dog. Remembering to feel free to activate or soften as you need to. And curling the toes under, hips come smoothly up and back into downward dog. And next breath, left leg raises up behind, bottom heel sinking. Again, you can do this with straight leg version, or if you prefer, you can bring the right knee down to the floor. And the only difference in the variations is that with the knee to the floor, the opposite leg lengthens straight out behind, so pointing the toes out away from the body. Whereas with right leg straight version, then the leg can raise higher than the pelvis. In both variations, we're still looking at keeping the hips level, so rather than feeling like the pelvis is tilting with the hips opening out on the side, it doesn't matter which variation you're in, we want this sense of the pelvis and the hips being in line with each other. Next breath, smoothly stepping up with the left foot, adjusting the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. Following breath, stepping up with the back foot, feet together, hips lowering down as low as you need to, keeping the feet flat with the heels on the floor. Hands fine by the sides of the feet. If you prefer, you can outstretch the arms, bring the palms together. And with the following breath, as the chest starts to move forwards and up, the hips keep sinking down. Hands can float up through the center of the body. So end of the out breath, hands lifting, gaze lifting. And this feeling that the chest is curling up and away from the knees. Hips can be as low or as high as you need them to be. So following in breath, legs straighten, lift the hands, lift the gaze, and whole of the out breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. If you need to, moving with the breath, coming to stand to the top of the mat. So next in breath, lean to the right, out breath, right foot rooted. Following breath, sole of the left foot as high up the inside of the leg as you need to. So Just taking care that the foot doesn't go over the knee, so either above or below the knee. And next breath, hands lifting, finding a point to fix the gaze. Keeping focus and awareness with the breath. Remember, it's absolutely fine if you wobble, if the foot comes down. So remembering everything we've spoken about with the standing balances, how they're an opportunity to work with the mind focus. So if the foot does come down, it's absolutely fine. Just taking 3 breaths to come back into the position. This feeling that the sequence isn't broken, so long as we've got this continuous flow of breath and the mind focus. So in breath, hands in front of the chest, and out breath, foot comes down. Next breath, lean to the left. On the out breath, left foot rooted. And following breath, taking the sole of the opposite foot as high up the inside of the leg as you need to, knee coming out to the side. And next breath, hands raise above the head. So lengthening through the sides of the waist and the lower back. Long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Keeping that continuous flow of breath. Remember, it's absolutely fine if you wobble, if the foot comes down. Just keep the flow of the breath and use the breath to move the body back into position. In breath, hands down in front of the chest, and out breath, foot comes down. Next breath, lean to the left, breathing out, feel the left foot rotate. Following breath, step back with the right foot, and on the out breath, turn the body to the side. So if you need to adjust the feet and find a position that is right for you on your mat, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that any adjustments you make happen with the breath so that they become part of the sequence. So following breath, arms float down. On the out breath, raising the hands in line with the shoulders, turning the left toes to the front of the mat, and take the gaze down the left arm onto the tips of the fingers. And next breath, tilting the pelvis, leaning out to the left hand side. So keep the gaze fixed on the left hand. And following breath, left hand floats down as the right arm floats up. Follow the hand until it comes into contact with the leg. So you're fine to keep the gaze down towards the hand, or you can take the next breath to lift the gaze to the top thumb. Next breath, the top arm comes over, another 90 degrees or so. We've still got this sideways feeling in the chest, so if it feels as though the gaze of the chest or the abdomen is starting to turn down towards the ground, then simply lift the left hand further up the leg so you've got this sideways facing feeling. And next, in breath, bend the left knee. On the out breath, feel the left foot rotate. Keep the breath flowing here. And following breath, smoothly come back to upright. Arms float down. So on the out breath, hands lift up through the center, toes turn forward, end of the out breath, palms together in front of the chest. So if you feel you need to adjust the feet, that's absolutely fine, just making that part of the sequence, moving with the breath. And next, in breath, arms float down. On the out breath, arms up in line with the shoulders, turn the right toes to the back of the mat, and turn to gaze to the tips of the right fingers. So actively lengthening through the arms, so fingertips lengthening away from each other. And next breath, tilting the pelvis, leaning out to the right hand side, keeping the arms as they are. And following breath, keeping the arms in line with each other, right hand comes down, follow the hand down with the gaze till it comes into contact with the right leg. You're fine to keep the gaze down towards the hand, or you can take the next breath to the top thumb. And then following breath, top arm reaches over another 90 degrees. We've still got this sideways facing feeling with the chest and the gaze. Again, if you feel that the abdomen or the chest are starting to turn down towards the ground, then you can just raise the right hand up, the right leg slightly, helping you to feel this sideways facing feeling. And on the next in-breath, bend the right knee. On the out-breath, feel the right foot strong and rooted. Keep the breath flowing here. And as the next breath begins, smoothly come to upright. Arms float down. On the out-breath, palms lift up through the center, palms together and toes turning forwards. So following breath, turning the toes out 45 degrees or so. And then taking the heels to join, so we're lengthening the feet an extra hip distance apart. Keeping upper body as it is, turn the left toes to the front of your mat, and on the out breath, bending the left knee. Then the next breath, the arms float down. On the out breath, lifting the arms up in line with the shoulders, turning to gaze down to the tips of the left fingers, actively lengthening through the fingertips. So the left knee can have as deep a bend as you need it to. A sense of lift and lengthen through the sides of the waist, through the lower back. And from here, keeping the legs as they are, arms start to drop down. So float the arms down, lift the hands up through the center and palms together in front of the chest. Next breath, the arms separate, forearm comes onto the thigh and the opposite arm reaches over. You've got that same sideways feeling in the chest. And then next breath, smoothly coming to upright, so straightening the right leg, smoothly coming to upright. On the out breath, hands lift up through the center, toes turn forwards, end of the out breath, palms together. So keeping the upper body as it is, turning the right toes out on the in breath, on the out breath, taking a bend in the right knee. So actively lengthening through the spine. And on the in-breath, the arms float down. On the out-breath, lifting the arms in line with the shoulders, taking the gaze to the tips of the right fingers. So it should feel as though the tips of the middle fingers are actively lengthening away from each other. The right knee can be bent as deeply as you need it to be. At the same time, a feeling of lifting and lengthening through the sides waist. Keeping the legs as they are. Next breath, the arms float down. On the out breath, hands lift up through the center. End of the out breath, palms together and gazing forwards. And following breath, the hands separate, taking the right forearm onto the right thigh, reaching over with the opposite arm. So we should have a feeling that it's the crown of the head that is lengthening away from the outside edge of the back foot, and the fingers are simply pointing in the direction that the crown of the head is lengthening. So rather than feeling like we're reaching out through those fingertips, it's more a sense that we're lengthening through the crown of the head. And although the arm's active, the fingers are simply pointing in the direction that the head is lengthening into. So next breath, smoothly coming to upright, straighten the right leg, toes turn forwards as the hands lift up through the center and palms together. If you feel you need to adjust the feet, that's absolutely fine, just making this part of the sequence. And then following breath, the hands separate, arms float behind, interlace the fingers. On the in-breath, actively lengthen through the spine. And bending the knees, whole of the out-breath, folding forward with knees bent. At the same time, lengthening and lifting through the arms. So next in-breath, hips lifting as high as you need to. And out-breath, gazing down towards the floor. So rather than taking the gaze between the legs so that the chin is coming closer to the body, we want to feel as though the throat is open and we're gazing down towards the floor. We're finding our point of stretch with the forward bend, and at the same time we're finding our point of stretch with the shoulders and the arms by actively lengthening and lifting the hands away from the body. Next, in breath, knees bend. On the out breath, feel the feet strong and rooted. Keep the breath flowing here first of all. And then as the following breath begins, body starts to lift up. So taking the full in and out breath to slowly come to upright, keeping the arms active. So arms keep lengthening and lifting away from the body. And next breath, releasing the hands. And then keeping the breath flowing in whichever way is easiest, coming down to sit onto the mat. So you can bring the hands by the sides of the hips, legs straight out in front of you. Toes pointing up towards the ceiling, actively sitting tall, so shoulders relaxed. Lengthening through the sides of the waist and the lower back. Next, in breath, bend the right knee, and on the out breath, the knee opens out to the side, so the sole of the right foot comes onto the inside of the left leg. Hands together in front of the chest. And following in breath, hands float up, take the gaze forwards, and whole of the out breath folding forwards, so keeping the gaze forwards for as long as is comfortable, taking the hands onto the extended leg, and the gaze is the last thing to turn down towards the body. So remember, we're looking for your individual point of stretch here, so we're actively letting go of any sense of how far it looks like we've gone, and instead we're focused more on how it feels in the position. So the extended leg can have the knee slightly bent if you prefer. If you feel you need to be more active, then the abdomen can come closer to the top of the thigh. If you feel you need to soften, then you can walk the hands up the leg slightly, lifting the upper body. And we're looking for a long, lengthened feeling through the underside of the body. So keeping body as it is, hands coming down to the floor, so taking the palms onto the floor, keep the breath flowing here. And then the next full breath to slowly come to upright, so end of the out breath, hands by the sides of the hips, actively sitting tall. Take the following breath to straighten the right leg. Then the next in breath, left knee bends. On the out breath, knee opens out to the side. So the sole of the left foot is coming onto the inside of the extended leg. Hands together in front of the chest. On the next in breath, gaze forwards as the hands float up. And take the whole of the out breath to fold forward, keeping the gaze straight ahead for as long as is comfortable. Make sure the hands are securely onto the leg or around the foot, and the gaze is the last thing to turn down towards the leg, just at the end of the out breath. Keeping the focus with the breath. Feeling free to soften or engage, become more active as you need to. And keeping body as it is, bringing the hands onto the floor, either side of the leg. Keep the breath flowing here. And then taking the full length of the next breath to slowly come to sit upright. So end of the out breath, hands down by the sides of the hips, actively sitting tall. And next breath, straightening the left leg out. So following breath, bring the soles of the feet together, knees coming out to the side. So the heels coming as close in towards the body as is comfortable. Taking a hold of the tops of the feet, a breath to actively open the feet out. So as if we're opening the soles of the feet out, as if you're opening out a book. Once the feet are open, the following breath to sit tall. And then in breath, sitting tall once more, and out breath, folding forwards. Keeping the focus with the breath. Building awareness in the posture, allowing yourself to become more active or soften as you need to. And next breath, slowly coming to upright, taking the hands behind the body. So palms are flat, fingertips pointing in towards the back. You can bend the elbows, leaning the weight into the hands slightly. Chest is lifting. And in breath, knees float together. And on the out breath, begin to lighten the feet. So the feet can lift as high as you need them to. If you feel as though the weight is coming out of the hands, you can take the arms down by the sides of the legs. Otherwise, you can keep the hands on the floor behind the body. Whichever variation you're in, there's a sense that the chest is lifting. So that's what we're focusing on. Doesn't matter how high the feet are or whether the hands are off the floor or not. We're looking for a point of stretch here with the chest open and lifting. You can feel free to flow through the different variations as you need to soften or engage. And then smoothly coming to sit upright, soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. So a breath to open the feet out first of all, following breath to sit tall, then in breath, sit tall once more, and out breath, folding forwards. Keeping the focus with the body and the breath. Taking the next breath to slowly come to sit upright. Take the hands behind the body, again fingertips pointing in towards the back, leading the weight into the hands so you can lift the chest. On the in breath, knees float together. On the out breath, begin to lighten the feet. So the feet can just become slightly lighter off the ground, or you can take the shins up so they're in line with the knees. Take the gaze towards the toes. If you feel as though the weight is just naturally coming out of the hands, you can bring the arms by the sides of the legs. Otherwise, keep the hands down onto the floor. If you feel that you need to be more active here, if you feel you need to engage more, then the toes can start to lift up, so the shins can start to lift higher. Whichever variation you're in, always taking care that the chest is lifting. And feeling free to flow through the variations as you need to, breath by breath. And next breath, coming to sit upright, soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. A breath to open the feet out first of all. Following breath to sit tall. And next in breath, actively sitting tall, and out breath, folding forwards. And keeping the focus with the breath. Remember, it's absolutely fine if you notice that the mind's wandering, if you're having thoughts about what's happened before or what's to come, or any judgments or comments on your practice. However the mind is distracted, we just treat all distractions the same and take away any importance from the distractions, just bringing the focus back to how it feels in the posture, back to the breath, still allowing us to engage or soften as we need to. So next breath, smoothly coming to upright, extend the legs out in front of you, bring the hands down either side of the hips, actively sitting tall, then palms together in front of the chest. In breath, hands lifting as you gaze forwards. And whole of the out breath, folding forwards. So what we're looking for is a sense of that the abdomen is moving down towards the thighs. Keep the gaze straight ahead for as long as is comfortable. So just at the end of the out breath, the gaze is the last thing to turn down towards the legs. Making sure that the hands are in strong contact with the legs or the feet. Just finding your individual point of stretch here. And then keeping body as it is, bring the hands onto the floor, keep the breath flowing here. And next breath, smoothly coming to upright. So keeping the breath flowing in whichever way is easiest, come to lie down onto your belly. So lying down onto your belly, take the hands underneath the shoulders, elbows close into the sides of the body. So the elbows can be lifted, or you can have the forearms resting down onto the ground, just whichever you prefer. And the forehead resting onto the ground. Then with the next in-breath, the chest begins to lift. And on the out-breath, lifting the gaze forwards, so the gaze raises up, coming forwards. Following breath, slowly lowering back down to the ground. So end of the out-breath, forehead resting onto the ground. And one breath to rest. So we're taking a breath to come into low cobra. As the in-breath begins, the chest lifting off the ground for the whole of the in-breath. Then the whole of the out-breath, the gaze lifts. And the following breath, slowly lowering back down to the ground. And a breath to rest. So in this position, there's no weight really coming into the hands or the forearms. We're using the in-breath to lift the chest off the ground and the out-breath to lift the gaze. And the following breath, slowly lowering back down to the ground. And a breath to rest. So continuing to flow with the breath, moving into the position. One full breath to come into position. The following breath to lower. And taking a breath to rest. Just finding your individual point of stretch as you come into the position, keeping your focus with the breath. Just allowing the breath and the movements to be smooth. And remember, it's the intention of smooth movement that is the most important part of this principle. So next time forehead comes to rest onto the ground, you can make a pillow with the hands, turn the head to the side. Just allow the toes to point in towards each other. Keep the continuous flow of long, slow, deep breaths. So although the body's resting, we've still got this active sense of the breath. The sequence continues to flow with the breath. And then next breath, bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, elbows close into the sides of the body. So you're fine to continue to flow through the sequence that we've just done. Or you can move into high cobra. So this time on the in-breath, chest lifting from the ground, and on the out-breath, rooting down through the hands. So as you root down through the hands, the chest will start to lift higher. And then taking the next breath to take the gaze forwards. Following breath, slowly lowering back down to the ground. So full in and out breath to lower down to the ground. Just at the end of the out breath, the forehead touching the floor. And a full breath to rest here. So continuing to flow with the breath. In breath, chest lifting. Out breath, rooting down through the hands as the chest lifts higher. Following breath to lift the gaze forwards. And as the next breath begins, start to gently lower down. Nice smooth movements, taking full length of the breath and a breath to rest. Just continuing to flow with the breath. So remember, if you prefer, you can continue to move through the low cobra sequence, or you can come into this high cobra sequence. It's really just about feeling your way through the variations and choosing the variation that allows you to experience your point of stretch, recognizing that this is where you will have the maximum health benefits from the practice. The point of stretch being that place where you feel a sense of expansiveness, of openness in the body, rather than the point of stretch being that place where you feel like you're pushed to your absolute limit. So next time the forehead comes down to the ground, you can make a pillow with the hands, allow the toes to point in toward each other. Just keeping that active sense of long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. And then bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, elbows close into the sides of the body. Taking the following breath to come up onto hands and knees. So taking the hands so that they're underneath the shoulders, fingers spread, and the knees underneath the hips, tops of the feet resting onto the ground. The spine is in a neutral position to begin with. As the next breath begins, leading with the upper back, begin to arch through the back, coming into cat position. So a full breath to come into cat position. One full breath whilst in position, so a full in and out breath once in position. Then the third breath to change position, so arch in the lower back, belly drops, gaze lifts forward, chest opens. A full breath here. And then the next breath start to change. So we're taking a full in and out breath to come into the position, and a full breath once in the position. Continuing to flow through the sequence. Keeping the focus with the body and the breath. Having this sense of smooth movement with the body and with the breath. And if we have this sense of smooth movement and taking full breaths to move into each of the positions, it helps us develop this feeling that the body is following the lead of the breath rather than the other way around. So the next time you arch through the spine, take the following breath to bring the spine into a neutral position, and the following breath to sit back towards the heels. Forehead can rest onto the ground. So if you prefer, you can make a pillow with the hands, resting the head onto the hands, or you can take the hands down by the sides of the feet. Still keeping that continuous flow of breath. And then taking the following breath to come to sit up onto the heels. And when you're ready, coming to lie down onto the floor, getting ready for a relaxation. So coming to lie onto your back, just taking a few moments to come into a comfortable position. If you have the legs straight, then taking the legs wider than the hips. They can be a little bit wider or a lot wider. And allowing the toes to just flop out to the sides. If you prefer, you can have the knees bent. And having a space between the arms and the sides of the body, turning the palms upwards. Gently lengthening through the back of the neck, tucking the chin in slightly, allowing the eyes to close. And letting go now of any effort with the breath. Just watching the breath as it moves in and out the body. And bringing your awareness now to the out breath. Watching the full length of the out breath from the start right the way through to the end. And as you breathe out, feel whole body relax. Feeling whole body relax on the out breath. As body relaxes, you can feel weight dropping into the back of the body. Be aware of the ground, solid and secure beneath you. Feeling whole body relax on the out breath. And in a moment, I will guide your awareness through different parts of the body. As I say that part of the body, you can allow your awareness to rest there for a moment. It's helping that part to relax that little bit more before moving on to the next. So beginning with the right hands, bringing your awareness now to right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, fingers and thumb together. Palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, side, waist, right hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole of the right foot, top of the foot, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, all toes together. The whole right side of the body. Whole right side of the body, right the way through. Allowing your awareness now to come to left hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, fingers and thumb together. Palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, side, waist, left hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole of the left foot, top of the foot, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, all toes together. The whole left side of the body. Whole left side of the body all the way through. Becoming aware now, the right shoulder blade, left shoulder blade, right buttock, left buttock, small of the back, middle of the back, the upper back, the length of the spine, the back of the neck, the back of the head, top of the head, forehead, the sides of the head, the right eyebrow, left eyebrow, the the space between the eyebrows, the right eyelid and eyelashes, the left eyelid and eyelashes, the right eye, left eye, right cheek, left cheek, nose, the tip of the nose, the upper lip, the lower lip, chin, throat, the right side of the chest, the left side of the chest, the middle of the chest, the navel, the abdomen, the groin, the whole of the right leg, the whole of the left leg, and both legs together. The whole of the right arm, the whole of the left arm, and both arms together. The whole of the back, the whole of the front, the whole of the back and front together. The whole of the head, and the whole body together. Whole body together. The whole body together. Comfortable, relaxed. The whole body, right the way through. Become aware now of your breath. Feel the flow of your breath in and out your lungs. The automatic rhythm of your breath, as if your body is simply breathing by itself. Bringing your awareness now to your chest, allowing your awareness to sink deeper, becoming aware of your heart, having a sense of the blood flowing around the body, blood bringing nourishing energy, calming energy to each and every part of your body. And then becoming aware once more of your breath, allowing your awareness to rest onto your abdomen, watching the rise and fall of your abdomen with your breath. So you can rest here, watching the rise and fall of your abdomen with your breath for as long as you need to. And only when you feel ready, keeping the eyes closed, come to lie onto your side. When you feel ready, gently opening your eyes, just taking a few moments here. And then slowly coming to an easy seated position. Bring your focus back to your breath. And your practice is now complete.